Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Casting the Spotlight episode number 173. And we are the week before WrestleMania, and we're back in our final solo episode until then.
That is true. One more till the WrestleMania cast.
Oh, yeah. It's been like, it's emerged as just a big event. Like, the more our, like, friends and kind of fandom grew together, there's just more and more people to talk to about like one of our favorite interests of all time.
Yeah. It's funny, like, wrestling is one of those things where if you're into it, you tend to find the other people that are into it.
Yeah.
You know, same with it's really any of your interests, but like football, that happens to be a big thing too, where it's easy to find and talk to people about football. Like for some reason, it's just easy to seek those people out, at least in the circles that I'm around. It's like, oh.
And you don't have to be, you don't necessarily have to find somebody that's like one in, every 50 or every one in however many that are like a wrestling fan. Like football, there's way more people around that are going to be willing to talk football with you.
Wrestling's a little more niche.
It is. That's perfect.
But there's still plenty of people that you're... But it's even still, when you find somebody that's like, oh, you keep up with like current wrestling? Because there's plenty of people that can talk Stone Cold, The Rock, Undertaker, Hogan, Cena. That group of people. You know what I mean? There's like a lot of people that... Brett, Shawn, like a lot of people that know...
Hogan, Warrior, Flair...
That's what I said, like Hogan for sure, but like the main staples, like the faces throughout the ages, like everybody knows them. You know what I mean? So even if you're like, oh, I'm a wrestling fan, and somebody's not really a wrestling fan, like I remember my PT, like recently when I was having to do that and stuff, he found out that I was a wrestling fan because I was talking about like the Rumble, that we all got together for the Rumble because he asked me what I did that weekend and stuff, and he's like, he brought up like Stone Cold and Undertaker, and I'm like, that everybody knows like a certain number of people.
Yeah. Outside of like the faces that you're talking about through like the eras, a lot of the people that are brought up are Brett, Shawn, and Taker outside of that, which is why I say they're like the closest that aren't mega stars, and that's not to take away from their, it's obviously, we've explained the difference between what a mega star is and like what a, because obviously those guys were, and they were the face of like their era, but like there's certain guys that break into mainstream, and I think that's all that they were missing was some of the mainstream. And Taker was around for so long that he eventually got more of the mainstream attention. Like people knew, about him and stuff, but they'll know like those guys. Sometimes they'll throw out like Triple H or somebody like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's another one. I mean, he was around a long time. He was connected with a lot of those guys, He was a tag team and a rival with Shawn and Stone Cold. And he was a rival with Taker multiple times.
Oh, yeah. And speaking of wrestlers, should we get to our category tonight?
Oh, yeah. Let's get into it.
Let's get into This or That. The official name of the segment after a while in our solo episodes here. But it is officially called This or That.
Is that the first time we've actually said it?
I kind of hinted at it last week to kind of give us like a transition period and or that be the first one. But now we can kind of confidently call it This or That. And so our main category that's going to be measured against everything else. The measuring stick of tonight is going to be, well, it's going to be wrestlers that go up against the gauntlet of 10 things. But I believe you are up first.
Yeah. So, my main guy is somebody that I honestly don't really know. I assume you probably at least respect their work, but I don't know what you really think of them, like how much of a fan you are of them, so it'll be interesting. So the main is going to be Finn Balor.
Okay.
So Finn Balor is going to run the gauntlet, and first up is Finn Balor or Adam Cole.
See, I feel like Finn, he would have become like, I recognize his talent and his work, but I feel like he would have become a bigger draw if they just had booked him stronger. But unfortunately, he's lost like every fucking big match that he's had.
Pretty much, yeah.
At least in the last 5 or more years, it seems like. So
probably more at this point.
More, yeah. Closer to 7 or 8.
He started out getting booked great, and then when he won the title and he got hurt in the match that he won the title, and then it's just been a downhill slope. Honestly, the Judgment Day was like a great thing to happen for him, because before then it felt like he was kind of going to be dead in the water. He's a great wrestler though. Like that's undeniable, but that's the thing. Some people, like I know Ethan, for example, real big Finn guy. Like I know some people are like really into Finn, but that's just like because they knew him from before.
Yeah.
Or like what he was in NXT and things like that. Anybody that is just a current WWE person, Finn Balor's not like a top guy for them because he hasn't been booked that way.
No.
But he is undeniably, he's one of those guys that, as a wrestling fan, you appreciate a lot more than the way that he's booked.
And he's still gotten accolades and such, but he's just, they really found their, as they used to kind of have, like they're a great worker who can just put people over in him, unfortunately. And that's, you always got a job, and he's been there for a long time. Like
Shinsuke.
But it just kind of, it is unfortunate for them because it seems like that window is kind of closed, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That being said, like, I may like Finn Balor's like in-ring work more than Cole's, but like Cole is just more Cole's probably like more charismatic and has better, promos and things like that. But I would probably take maybe Finn over him a little bit.
Yeah, just from an in-ring standpoint.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cole, I would say, he's almost...
Finn's a good one to pick, though, actually. That was a good pick, because I don't even truly know how I feel about him, but, like, because of the way he's been booked, that's going to be the result. I'm not high enough. This is what I'll tell you. I'm not high enough on Finn to be able to confidently take him over a whole lot of people. That's what I mean. See, if I was, somebody that was a bigger... I like him. I like him, and I respect him. And he's a great in-ring worker, but it's not like, and I don't know if it's just because of the way he's booked. Maybe he didn't innovate himself enough. I don't know. Maybe they were just like, no, this is going to be your role. Because he's still won tag belts. He's won mid-card titles. He's been in big matches.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably going to fight for the IC title at Mania.
But I would definitely take him over Cole. But that was a really good pick because, we'll see how I feel about him. Because, I don't have, let's put it like this. I don't have anything really negative to say about him.
Yeah. Other
than maybe at times it's felt like his character's flat, kind of thing. Or it's aimless. But a lot of people have...
He's never the thing that I'm excited about on Raw. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm not saying that to even be a lot of characters that we've liked have had stale eras like that. You know what I mean? Like Kane, people like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or Orton at different times. And we know they were great, but sometimes you just went through eras where you were less interesting, and Finn is one of those people, unfortunately. But he's had eras where he's been great, and it doesn't mean at any time his in-ring work was less, the same as I'd say about those other guys. It doesn't mean that they're any worse. It's just sometimes you just don't excite me like you did before. You know what I mean?
I mean, even Kevin and Sammy, once Triple H took over, they started getting booked great. But I feel like for a number of years, they were highly misused. Sammy more than Kevin.
But Kevin got some world titles.
That's because Sammy was skinny. Let's be real. Sammy didn't have the build. At least Kevin was a big guy.
He's not really that skinny, though.
I mean...
Sammy?
He's not skinny, but he doesn't have a build. He's... Yeah. I feel like Triple H, if he has a personal relationship with you, or if you kind of get in with him, he books you okay. Yeah.
I mean, Kevin got fucking a few WrestleMania main events and faced Stone Cold. It is big. That was a huge...
Kevin got booked better than Sammy.
He did. He did. Sammy started getting booked eventually better, though.
Yeah. Because Kevin also, like, he had that great shit with Jericho for a while. That was
Kevin,
like
honestly, Kevin's had a strong run, really.
This neck injury. Seen it's legit. I thought, like, honestly, on SmackDown, I thought it was a work.
2 to 5 year bullshit real?
Honestly, if that's the case,
I don't know if it's
I don't know if he'll wrestle again.
Yeah.
Or he might for, like, a short stint. But, like,
they can do more stuff than ever, too, so we'll see, but I don't know.
It almost felt like, too, having Orton come out and, like,
book
face
Orton
him down.
Sammy, that's what I said.
Well, Sammy's been out.
Sammy
hasn't been on the show since Chamber.
Is he hurt, though?
I don't know if he's hurt or he's just taking time.
This is what I'll say about that is, like, you know,
you could book Orton anybody else.
But you have to book Orton. He's way too big a name to leave off.
And Mania. he's only got a number of Manias left.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, he has to be on the card in some way. They're just going to throw something together.
It doesn't matter. If you're going to, but Orton needs to be on WrestleMania.
But that's such a bummer.
It is.
Because KO and Orton was like a build that naturally happened over and over. KO put him on the shelf. It was like going to be the Mania match.
I know. And he got in matches through little things that he said weren't.
I feel like Orton
with not Orton matches earlier.
Orton's run here at the like end of his career has really just been like snipped. Yeah. Like, cause even his big returns that should have felt like, oh fuck, Orton's back. The first one, Punk returned to the company, which overshadowed the fuck out of that, obviously. Mm-hmm. I mean,
and he hadn't wrestled like a year and 8 months or some shit.
Yeah.
6 months, whatever it was.
Orton being in the match was huge. It was really cool to see him. But as soon as Punk came back at the end of that show, it overshadowed it. But
shit. It might have been the first time ever I've sneezed on here. I don't know.
And then the last time he came back to help Sammy whenever KO was about to like really fuck him up, Cena turned heel.
Yeah.
So it's like, and he just now this Mania match that was going to be like a big thing for him, that's gone. So just like,
hey, at least he's main evented a couple Manias.
You gotta have him, which this would be a major turn. You gotta have face Orton versus heel Cena for the belt this year.
They might.
You gotta at this point. Yeah. He's been fucked too many times. You gotta give him something.
That would be awesome.
Maybe he takes it off him.
I'm starting to think, man. I don't know. We'll see. We need to, who you got after?
Yeah, we need to move on here.
Yeah, who do you got for next for Mr.
Finn Balor's up 1-0. Finn Balor or JBL.
Probably JBL. Because, like, I loved whenever he was Bradshaw and the Acolytes. Like, I loved some of his earlier stuff, too. Yeah. And then whenever he became JBL and was, like, a main eventer, that was kind of, like, a long time coming still. He wasn't a bad announcer, you know?
Yeah.
He was ridiculous at times, obviously, but a lot of them were.
I mean, he was... The JBL character, like, Bradshaw was completely different than JBL, but the JBL character was just such a natural heel.
Yeah.
And he's even said, like, in interviews and podcasts I've listened to before, like, that growing up in Texas, there was just, like, the oil guys, like, the super rich oil rig dudes that worked in that business that would drive around in, like, limos or, like, Cadillacs, and they'd have the horns and stuff, and, like, everybody in the community was like, man, fuck those guys, because he came from, like, middle class, so they were just like, dude, those guys, fuck them. So he knew that he could, like, really make that work as a heel because he was around it as a kid, you know?
Yeah, I'd probably give that one to JBL. I thought he was more interesting over the years he was there than I found Finn's run.
Yeah.
Not taking away from Finn's matches, I'm just saying, like, you know, I was definitely more drawn to what was going. Because JBL was in some upper, you know, pretty big matches.
Yeah, I mean, he was a great heel to put against the guy that you were trying to get over, you know? All right, so 1-1 for Finn. Finn Balor or Jon Moxley.
Have you been seeing anything over there in a while?
I've been,
other than that nail board spot.
I've just been keeping up with what I hear on podcasts and what I see on social media pretty much. I don't watch week to week or anything really.
It still records on her Sling.
Yeah, I do want to watch. I just like, there's other things that I'm watching, and I'm already watching WWE and trying to keep up with that. It's Mania season, all this stuff's happening, and I'm like, and not that I'm taking away from AEW, they have some dope matches, definitely, but just like, whenever we, you know, watched there for like a year and a half, the stories were good, the characters were fun, the whole show felt fun.
Punky came back.
Yeah, and then after a while, it just like, the stories just fell off a cliff. There was just no stories, it was just matches, and it was like, oh, we got these stories happening. It's like,
they hired everybody.
Are they happening?
And then
I don't fucking ever, like, it just felt like there was no build ever for anything. And then they had these like epic pay-per-view cards, but there was no build to it. So it was like, these matches are cool, but so I just kind of like quit keeping up week to week, but I'm still glad it's out there. I just, Why'd you say, have you seen something about him recently or something?
No, I just didn't know if you had, but I mainly see the stuff on social media. I don't really often flip.
I mean, he does a lot of hardcore stuff over there, I know. He's always bleeding and shit.
If I watch anything, it'd be like Dynamite.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Collision 2 being on Saturday.
By Jon Moxley, that obviously includes his Dean Ambrose run and everything.
Yeah,
too.
I was going to say Dean Ambrose / Jon Moxley.
Probably John, Dean, whatever you want to call him.
And Dean, too. Dude. His singles run in WWE
was less than
garbage.
Yeah.
If you look back at it, like,
it was kind of weird.
It really wasn't good. No wonder that he was like, yeah, I'm out of here.
Yeah,
but
that wasn't the type of thing you wanted to do.
I feel
but
like
now he's just bleeding every
back,
match. And they're letting him do everything over there. So
I mean,
I don't know if he'll ever go back.
If he came back to WWE now, I mean, Roman and Seth are there. So, like, we got 2 out of the 3. But it's like, it's also, I feel like he would be booked so much better.
Do you think, though?
Yeah.
I mean,
because Seth and Roman are what they are. He was a Shield member. Jon Moxley's name is what it is.
Either way, he'd be booked pretty strong.
I think he'd be Jon Moxley, too.
I don't know if it would... I don't know what would happen, honestly. That's like a hard thing to see.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't feel like it's going to happen, if you ask me.
I know. I mean, he's under contract for a while still, isn't he?
When they're putting him in the forefront of, like, the company, so, like, he's, especially while he's got that spot.
Why would he leave?
So, I mean, he would theoretically. I just don't know if it would be one of those things where he'd stay there very long or what his booking kind of would be. But he's doing all this hardcore stuff, and they would not be doing it nearly as often in WWE as he does there. So it's just like,
I mean, you have the chance.
Is he even the right fit for them anymore? You know what I mean?
Yeah, he wants to do.
He does.
He came from deathmatch.
But I would definitely say he's. I'd put him over Finn. His in-ring work's not as good as Finn's.
I mean, not from a traditional standpoint, but I guess that's kind of what depends what you're into as a wrestling fan. Like, what you go to wrestling for.
Yeah.
If you want to see the crazy, bloody, hardcore shit, Moxley's your guy, you know?
But yeah.
Mick Foley gave him the tip of the cap, so it's his era to be that guy, I guess, you know? All right. So Finn Balor or Bayley?
I mean, they probably came in at, I guess Bayley came on the main roster a little before. She was the last of the horsewomen that debuted on the main roster, though, I think. But Finn came. I remember, like, in 2016, or him and Samoa Joe had that Hell in a Cell match, or not Hell in a Cell, cage match at NXT. Because it was, like, built an old school way. They're like, it's going to be a cage, because they never had a cage in NXT before. And it was actually a solid-ass match. And, I mean, Joe is just fucking tremendous.
He enjoyed NXT a lot more than the main
roster. But Cole was booked stronger there, too.
Finn was, too. It was just that era of NXT. Like, Triple H ran it like it was a main roster show.
See, that's like their bigger shit to me than their main roster shit. Some of those guys.
Yeah. It's kind of their, like, highlight from WWE, at least.
Honestly, I found Bayley more interesting in the last at least 5 to 7 years than I have Finn.
Yeah, she still kind of gets screwed over a lot when it comes to, like, placement on the card and, like, getting booked in good spots because she is, honestly,
but they're loaded.
As good as she
they're
is
loaded with
ring.
Talent right now. So, like, you can't put everybody
and
as number one.
Even the women's roster, like, they have so many good women's wrestlers, and there's just not that many spots.
That's a good problem to have, though. But you're going to have people that feel like they deserve more that don't get that spot at WrestleMania. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or not even Mania, like just the rest of the year. It's like...
Yeah, but Mania is one everybody wants to have. I mean, if you have even a singles match or like a triple threat or, if you're part of a big match or really any match that puts a huge spotlight on you, that's a big match at Mania. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No matter what it is. Because having a singles match out of all that talent, that's a huge... Like, we're entrusting you two to go out there and have this. That's a huge spot. A tag team, you're protected. A 6-man or women or whatever, you're a little more. It doesn't have to be as much. It's more about just getting like all of them on the card. You know what I mean? But having a singles match, no matter how long or short it is a pretty big deal on a WrestleMania.
Yeah, there's a few this year, just like straight up singles matches.
We're gonna see more multi-person matches than in a long time.
That's true too.
Because we might in the tag team realm too, is what I've been seeing.
I know, like they got this like gauntlet for the women's tag titles apparently on this upcoming SmackDown, but it's like I almost feel like Bayley's going to be involved in that because if she's not, what is she going to be doing? Yeah, and her and Lyra are facing on Raw for the Intercontinental title, but they've both been having problems with Liv and Raquel. So part of me thinks they're going to team up. Just so Bayley gets on the card and Lyra's the Intercontinental Champion, so she gets on the card. Like,
or they could actually defend those.
And the SmackDown tag titles, that's definitely going to be a multi-man match. Like, the Raw tag titles will probably just be
I did watch
Day
Raw
and
with
War Raiders.
Or no, SmackDown. I saw Rhea the other night where she like laid out fucking.
It was Raw.
So is that going to end up being a triple threat then, or
it's definitely going to be.
Then why don't they just book it? Jesus Christ.
That and Drew and Damian, I don't think is officially even booked. It's like we know these matches are happening, just book them. And
it's LA Knight and Fatu, right?
Yeah. That just happened.
So that's only a singles. People were predicting that was going to be a fatal 4-way.
And Naomi and Jade.
What are they going to book? Strowman and Solo or something?
I don't think so. No. I think you're just going to be off the card.
That's fine.
I
mean,
what are they going to do with
Braun?
Fine, with Braun and the Intercontinental title?
I don't know.
That'll probably be Finn, Dominic, and Penta. Probably a fatal 4-way too.
Yeah. And then we got the men's triple threat. That's a lot of that's what I mean. The first one like that in a lot of years.
That's because there's so much talent on the roster.
Yeah.
You got to try to get everybody on here.
And in certain spots, they like booked themselves into, they didn't know what to do, so they're like, well, let's do this. So like I said, the triple threat, it's going to be great, all three guys are great. But I definitely think it was a result of the match at The Rock falling through again.
Yeah.
But they've decided to do what they did, and like it should be, and I'm sure whichever guy does win will be pretty close to being the next up for the championship title, like a title shot,
Yeah, I could see. I mean, there's definitely going to be a part to be played in some aspect with Paul Heyman.
Yeah.
He's going to have something to do with the outcome. Somebody's getting fucked over, and somebody's getting helped. Whether it's incidentally, on purpose, whatever happens, it's happening.
I think so too. So, who do we got next?
So you took Bayley?
Yeah.
All right, so it's 1-3. Yeah, this ain't looking good for Mr. Finn. Finn Balor or Matt Hardy.
Probably for a lot of nostalgia reasons, I'm gonna have to pick Matt.
Yeah, I mean, I probably would have to too. I mean, the Hardy brothers were, they were
great. And like,
our era
it'd be
growing
different
up too.
It'd be different if Finn's, you want to look back on it like it was stronger than it was, but it really wasn't.
I mean, he faced Edge in a Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, no, he did. I mean, he had some matches that were good for sure. Yeah. But yeah, I would probably take Matt.
All right. So Finn Balor or Mark Henry.
See, Mark was a bigger guy that could work, man. He was actually not bad. Like
he really was.
Good.
He was fun in the ring, man.
The
like Hall of Pain era, that was the best Mark Henry.
Dude, whenever they played it off, like, and Batista was hurt, and then like all that happened, and Cena, kind of solidified his spot and everything, and he had to give up the belt, like Batista, and like they had Mark Henry come in and like act like he was doing the shit to take Batista out. Like, from there on, it felt like Mark was a bigger threat than he had ever been in his run. You were like, oh fuck, like that 06 through. I don't even know when. I mean, he might know better than me.
He picked up the title in 20... It was one of those years.
Because he had like...
10, 11, or 12. One of those years he had the World Heavyweight title.
He did that attack on Batista, and then it was like, oh, fuck. Because people were still... Kayfabe was still more alive in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
In
2006. Like he was retiring.
But, Batista was, he was out and shit, and then... Yeah, and then he had that casket match with Taker.
Yeah.
He had like some big matches there for a while,
He was always, I mean, even when he first came on the roster, like, he's always been a good worker.
Yeah.
He's always been reliable.
He's always been a bigger guy that really has, like, that could work, and he could sell, and he was...
He seems like a decent dude, too.
He does.
You know what I mean? Like, he's old school in some ways, but, like, he seems like he would not be the hardest to get along with. No. If you, like, just don't be an idiot, Yeah.
I mean, if he made it through the fucking mid-90s locker room, I'm sure he'll be all right. The mid-late 90s, like, locker, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure, like, from what I hear...
one of two things, that could either make him more standoffish or be like, he's a good guy.
He's still in the business.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, he's still around, and his son is training to be, like, a big thing. So,
but no, I mean, I always had respect for Mark, and I think Mark definitely was entertaining and worthy of a world championship at least a few times in his career,
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I'd
probably say Mark Henry.
Yeah. The retirement angle of Cena, whenever he got into the WWE title picture, that was still one of the better retirement angles they pulled when it was like, I gotta leave the company. He like cried and everything, and Cena came out and like as soon as Cena came out, it's like, why would he be the one of everybody to be like, all right, Mark, you were great?
Yeah,
it's like...
just because he was that honorable like fucking champion. That's why probably.
And then Mark, hit him with the world's strongest slam, and then
like,
fuck,
bullshit.
Yeah, that was a good swerve.
Yeah.
All right, so Finn Balor or Terry Funk.
Damn, yeah. The guy that's had more retirement matches than anybody in history, pretty much. He's had like 17 or 20 like retirement matches that were billed as retirement matches.
He couldn't give it up, man.
No.
He's like, I want to go through it.
Flair's already on like 5 at this point, or 6.
Yeah. Flair, man, he doesn't know when to quit with anything.
No.
Anything.
Number 17! That's not happening?
Cena purposely, like, put him into his promo, too, to, like, he's like, what did he say about him? He's like,
I don't even know.
He's like, whenever I pick up the 17th World Championship at WrestleMania, the only name you'll remember is John Cena. And not that. He's like, the party hard, bleach blonde haired, dusty ass Ric Flair or something.
That's funny. Oh, man.
Maybe they should. Fuck it.
So you said Terry
Have
Funk.
Cena fucking lay him out.
Funk was instrumental in helping out ECW at their first pay-per-view, like on live, TV, Barely Legal in 1997. And, I mean, he was really instrumental in the hardcore aspect for that company. He was
instrumental in hardcore wrestling in general.
With especially those matches he had with Foley in Japan with explosives and barbed wire and fucking all that shit, tacks. And those guys were having some brutal matches, and Terry Funk's eye fell out in like 12 of them. Just like it did in that fucking tag match with him and Edge and Dreamer and Funk in One Night Stand 06. That event was so dope, dude. The Sabu and fucking
06 was...
Rey Mysterio. 06 was a great year overall, but that One Night Stand,
that
was intense, dude. That was intense.
Yeah.
And like Foley, and then like Beulah and Lita were like, oh, we're in it too, or whatever. And then it became like a fucking, and then Edge, that was fucked. He did that like pump pin on Beulah at the end. It was like, but no, like Terry Funk's like, oh my, like halfway through the match, and then the rest of the match. For the longest time, Corey was just like, is that the match that Terry Funk's eye fell out? And then he's like,
which one?
So like, yeah, that's the thing. Like, he would always act like his eye fucking fell out. But yeah, him and dude, that match was brutal. But like, dude, Foley and Edge after their angle, that was dope. That they teamed up and like faced Funk and Dreamer. That was sick.
Yeah, their Mania 22 match was fire.
It was, yeah.
Literally.
Mick Foley and Orton at Backlash 04.
Oh yeah,
was tremendous too.
Yeah. That's Foley's favorite match in WWE.
Yeah. Yeah. So who do we have?
Terry Funk or Finn Balor?
Oh yeah, I would probably take Terry. Yeah, it might not be looking good for him.
All right.
So, and you could probably tell, like, I don't have anything against Finn. It's just, it's gonna hurt him the way he's been booked and the way he, have had, moments that really popped to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he still had some standout things, Yeah. But even like the Demon was his thing.
It was.
And then like when they brought it up to the main roster, they kind of killed it.
Yeah.
Because they had him do it in matches that he like lost, and like he didn't really do much different shit in the match. It was just like, the Demon is supposed to be like another level of intensity than Finn Balor.
Didn't the Demon face Edge in that Hell in a Cell though?
Yeah.
And then that was probably the last time.
I think that was the last time we saw him. Yeah.
Well, he got train fucking wrecked.
Well, that match, like, remember he had that spot with the ladder. Wasn't it the ladder, or was it a chair that got like tossed at him and it split his eyebrow wide open? The match got stopped for a minute.
Yeah. That match wasn't very long. It was only like 16 minutes or something.
Well, the match got fucked up because of that too.
Yeah.
Like, they still continued and it was whatever, but like, I feel like that match could have been way better if it wasn't for some of the like actual injuries that happened within the match.
Yeah, I remember that. It didn't. Yeah.
There was a couple just unexpected injuries at Mania 39. It was still a great Mania, but because that's when Shane McMahon blew out his fucking quad.
Yeah. Steve Dogg had to call an audible and fucking come in. What did I answer for the last one?
It took Terry.
Yeah.
All right, so Finn Balor or Asuka?
See, and there's times that fucking when I was talking to Stevens the other night, that's something we brought up. And he still is just like, I don't think her reign should have been ended then. But I'm like, who's going to end it? Like, Charlotte ended it at WrestleMania, 34?
37, right? Oh, no,
it was 34. It was 2018.
Yeah, it was so
her like 500-day streak or whatever the fuck.
Just doesn't feel like it should have been that long ago, I guess.
But it felt like then, obviously, she was really relevant. So she's went through phases where she was definitely more and less relevant.
Yeah. She still has had some... Like, I love Asuka just as an in-ring competitor. She's awesome. Same with, like, Io. You know, like, she's another one that I feel like is kind of underrated. Like, they both have kind of been fucked over from language barrier. I feel like it's kind of hard to, like, fully get their character over because of that.
Yeah.
But, like, from an in-ring standpoint, fantastic.
It's why they gotta, like, keep it pretty simple and short and, like, make it, you know,
so
make the message
like
pretty
awkward for Io sometimes now with, like, this whole angle. Like, they're playing it right, though, to where she's not having to say a whole lot, and Rhea and Bianca, like, have such a beef with each other that they're, like, trying to shove her aside, and she's just like, no, fuck you guys. Like, I'm the champion. You can get fucked wrong.
I don't know what's going to happen with that match, honestly. Like, who's going to win that? At this point, I don't know. Because it's, like, gotten more and more...
Rhea's really the odd... Like, at this point, the way that they booked it, Rhea is the odd man out. Because it's like, Bianca won the chamber, so she's got a spot.
Yeah.
And Io is the champion.
Yeah.
So...
It is. And then Rhea beat the shit out of them the other night.
And then, Rhea's just not taking no for an answer.
No.
She's like... Signed her name to the contract. She came out and, like, caused all that havoc and shit. And Pierce is like, that is not official.
Yeah.
But obviously,
dude, she's awesome, though.
Obviously, it's official.
Rhea's so fucking
Rhea's one of the most over women on the roster. They're not going to leave her off the
Her run here has been as hot as almost any women's has, like, since they've been, since the division's been revived.
It's like, I feel like the hottest of runs... Like, Bianca was really over a few years ago, like a number of years ago. She was really big. Becky Lynch's The Man run before Mania 35, that was super, super hot.
Yeah.
And then Rhea, like, the mommy stuff leading into Mania, like, 40 when she picked the belt back up and stuff. Like, she was super, super
I feel like Becky's peak was higher than Rhea's is, but I feel like Rhea's been hot for longer at this point. You know,
and Rhea was the 1-2 out of those that, like, Becky and Bianca were, like, they were faces.
Yeah.
You know, like, Rhea
she's
was...
so good.
She's
so young
heel,
still.
You know, like,
she's
Rhea
only, like,
was
28.
a bad guy, too, yeah. And she was part of the Judgment Day, which was the heel faction on Raw. But people just started to love her so much that, like, she kind of became a face, even though she was... part of that group.
Yeah. You know? I'm gonna probably go with Finn on that one.
All right.
To be honest, yeah.
Tax on another. He's still in the game here. All right.
We got
so Finn Balor or I kind of feel like I know who this is gonna go, but Finn Balor or Booker T.
Yeah, Booker T. Dude, Book, man, he was great. He had so much charisma and in-ring, like, talent, ability, too, you know? I mean, he was obviously there for, like, a large portion of the WCW run, and then he had a great WWE run, too. Should have beat Triple H in that WrestleMania, for sure.
Yeah.
That's one thing I will say from his career. You know what's interesting is, like, that series with Benoit he had for the U.S. title, like, they had that series in WCW, and they had it in WWE, which is sick. Like the best out of 7 or whatever it was, or best out of 5. So he's had some great matches, and like,
oh yeah,
I mean,
even the King Booker run was fun.
Was so good because he was so good at drawing heat. Like because I was tired of it as a fan too. I'm like, I am so fucking tired of hearing him, Booker,
King Booker. And
he would
do
just
thumb bullshit.
Oh yeah. It would just go on and on. But he was great at drawing heat in that run.
Oh yeah.
And it lasted a long... He was like the last major one that did something with his like King of the Ring thing, you know? I loved when King of the Ring was like a pay-per-view, actually, though. That was sick.
Well, they did it. What was that, last year? King and Queen of the Ring?
Mm-hmm. Something.
I think it was, yeah, that was last year. Because...
Dude, Book could still wrestle if he wanted to.
Yeah.
He's like 60. He's still in good, like, pretty fucking good shape.
Who won it last year? Nia won Queen of the Ring. Who won King of the Ring?
Was it Nia Jax?
Yeah, she won Queen.
Was it Gunther?
I was thinking that too. It might have been. Yeah, it was him.
Yeah.
But that was the thing
that
too.
Makes sense.
Is they came out on Raw and SmackDown with the like crown and stuff and the scepter, and they like had their celebration, and it was just never talked about again after that. It's like, all right, I won it this year. Fuck yeah, I did it. I'm King, Queen of the Ring, and that was it.
They gave her that. They're like, here you go, Nia.
Yeah, or something.
Yeah.
All right, so Booker T gets the W. So the last but not least, Finn Balor or the Iron Sheik.
You know, I thought about adding him to like my list one of these times.
He's
like,
a legend.
I don't know why, but I don't know why that name would pop into my mind. Just, you know, there's so many people to look through, but you know, Sheik, he's pretty legendary in his own right, I would say.
I mean, yeah, his run was kind of before, you know, WWF was really established and took off, so it's like,
yeah,
he's
and
not
then into that a little bit.
Oh, yeah. But once Hogan picked up that belt,
yeah,
you know,
isn't that probably the number one match you think of with the Sheik in it?
Yeah,
Sheik. Yeah, me too. Because it's like the night, you know, he passed the torch, so it was like, all right, well, an MSG, that was a legendary match.
Oh yeah, that belt looked, I don't know. I mean, it's classic, but it was just like so many plates. It was just like they were all square.
Yeah,
it just looked
like they were gonna fall off.
I mean, it's legendary to see it now because it's so classic. But
see, that's like one of those things you don't think to compare the Iron Sheik and Finn Balor.
So
you know
different. Wrestling style and generation.
I'm gonna probably have to go with Finn Balor on that one.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, also, incidentally, whether you want to or not, even as a wrestling fan, you haven't seen a lot of Sheik matches, you know? So Finn, you know, not too horrible. He picked up 3.
Yeah.
He went over Adam Cole, Asuka, and the Iron Sheik.
I'm sure your guy will do fairly better, or at least I would say bottom of the barrel is what I just got on mine. 3 out of 7.
Yeah, I know last time I picked Shane over like 8 people. So
yeah, I think it'll be a little better than that, but I don't know where. We'll see. So for mine, in our category as wrestlers on this or that tonight, the main measuring stick for you tonight is gonna be The Miz.
Oh, dude. In the 2010 era when he picked up that belt, and even whenever he was like US champ and stuff,
yeah,
I would say from like 2009 to probably like 2013, I was a pretty big Miz fan.
Yeah.
And even
how top was he in your top 5 through that era?
For a while, probably a while in that era, but not that whole time.
Okay.
And even that run with the IC belt, what's that, like 2017, when he faced like Seth and
probably
some of those guys, that was great too. See, I really like The Miz, and from a character standpoint, like being a heel.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, dude, I feel like he's underrated as fuck.
He's great at it.
People will look back at The Miz and be like, he really made a name for himself.
Well, let's see how much success The Miz has had, and when we put him in this gauntlet here, and he'll be a measuring stick tonight. His first opponent is gonna be The Miz versus Mickie James.
Man, Mickey was in an era where she didn't necessarily always get to prove how great she was. But if you take like even some of her Impact stuff,
yeah, she was huge over there.
And like
her win it over Trish at WrestleMania 22 was huge.
Like her stuff with Deonna Purrazzo and Impact was pretty awesome, and even her stuff with Michelle McCool, that was a decent rivalry in the Divas era. And I mean, it was kind of like high school bullying in a lot of ways, that rivalry, but it worked because Mickey got the upper hand in the end.
It could still work.
So it was like, okay, they were real bitches to Mickey.
Yeah.
But she prevailed in the end. You know what I mean? So it was kind of like that classic story. Dude, she's
up there in like one of the
she's
greats.
Probably my top 10 women's wrestlers of all time.
Yeah.
So for that, I'll probably take Mickey, actually.
Okay. All right, next up we got The Miz or Kevin Nash / Diesel.
The dude knows wrestling.
Yeah.
Like Kevin Nash, like
yeah, he's smart as fuck.
He has a good knowledge of wrestling. And I really do like, dude, he was a part of so much big
He had some great matches with fucking Scott, obviously Shawn and Bret Hart.
Yeah.
Bret Hart's one of his favorite matches of all time is him and Diesel at that Survivor Series that year.
Yeah. What was that?
95, maybe?
That sounds about right. That was probably the Diesel year. 5 and 90,
94 and 5.
Yeah,
but
those were
he was
like
also
his...
like a pretty low drawing champion, but it was also during an era that 92
low drawing
92
era.
to 95 wrestling was pretty low drawing.
Yeah.
But
I mean, he even, he was a
big of a fan. He had that he had that grudge match with Taker at
of
WrestleMania 12, the year we were born.
NWO, obviously, he was a huge part of that.
That's the biggest thing of his career, probably.
But yeah, Diesel, they really tried to get him over with that.
Mm-hmm.
Big Daddy Cool.
Went to TNA for a while, had a run there, was the X Division champion, beat the hell out of the small guys that he didn't consider fucking worthy.
From a personal fandom, though, I'm probably taking The Miz. Like, I think Nash, out of like the NWO, like some of the OG guys, Nash was my least favorite one of them.
Yeah.
Like I liked Hall and Hogan a lot more on the Outsiders. Like,
how would you rank your fandom of the Clique guys? Scott, Kevin, Triple H, Shawn, and Pac. Obviously, Shawn's number 1.
Yeah, Shawn 1, Triple H 2, probably Scott 3. Nash 4, Pac 5. No, Pac 4, Nash 5, probably.
Yeah. That was the one that stumped you. Yeah. Interesting. Rank it. I was thinking.
But I do
that.
appreciate Nash. That makes it sound like I'm like, fuck him, but like,
yeah.
He had a major part and play in professional wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
For his era, he did a hell of a lot. So
you're taking The Miz over Kevin Nash / Diesel.
Yeah.
The next up, we got a person that was in your list. We got The Miz or Booker T.
Yeah, I'd probably go Booker T as well. Booker just had a lot of different eras too, like the Harlem Heat Booker, and then even singles WCW Booker, and then singles.
He was the last WCW champ.
Yeah, that was like his era of being like really over. It was kind of like a shit part of WCW,
Russo
but he was a great part.
Was huge on Booker. He wanted Booker to be the champion, and he wanted him to be. You know what I mean?
He just fucked up the rest of the show. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he was on air a little too much, probably, for sure.
And then early WWE Booker T, and then like the King Booker stuff, and so he had a lot of different like
chapters
eras
to his career
of Booker. and they were all pretty fun, you know.
And he's always been athletic and phenomenal in the ring, you know.
Still doing the spinner.
Everything looked
65.
smooth for the most part in Booker matches, you know.
Yeah.
So you're taking Book?
Yeah, I take Book.
All right. Well, next up we got the Miz or Sabu.
Sabu was a wild son of a bitch, man. He was fun to watch in the ring, though. He ECW originals. He fit like peanut butter and jelly in that group of guys, you know.
Yeah.
That being said, I'd probably take the Miz
over Sabu.
Yeah.
Over the homicidal, suicidal, genocidal, fucking man.
The maniac. Yeah, I mean, Sabu, his matches were fun. But just from a personal standpoint, growing up, watching him and from a fandom, The Miz had more of an effect on me than Sabu did.
Yeah. All right. Well, next up we got The Miz or Andre the Giant.
Legend.
Man, he helped get WWF into the fucking stratosphere with Hogan and that whole feud and everything.
He was also just such a draw because he was so massive. He was just his
over 7 foot, over 500 pounds.
Yeah, his name being what it was.
He was a worldwide known phenomenon of a.
I think Andre.
His presence was overpowering.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite classic wrestlers of all time.
Yeah. That's along the lines of where I thought you felt about him, but I wasn't sure.
I know in-ring wise, his earlier days, he was able to work a little more.
Mm.
There at the end, he was hardly able to fucking walk, you know? So it was it's a little hard to judge him from that, but yeah, he was one of the pivotal guys that kind of helped really put them on the map too. And bring them to another level. I'll probably go Andre. I would say.
He's fighting back. Andre.
It's what, 2-2?
It is now 3-2.
In favor of the Miz?
Out of favor of the Miz.
Oh wow, okay.
Mickey James and Booker T and Andre, you took over him. But next up, we got the Miz, or one of the great women's wrestlers of all time, Lita.
Yeah. Damn.
Not taking it easy on you.
Great matches too. She was one of the pivotal. Holy fuck, the women. We should give them a chance to really go.
Her and Trish were the first two women to main event Raw.
Yeah. That's when Lita fucking scorpioned herself on the outside of the ring.
Yeah, that brutal hit that. Yeah.
Whenever she put her feet to the back of her head, that was fucked up looking.
Yeah, she did some wild stuff, and she was pivotal in the whole incarnation of the Hardys being where they were, and those three all flowed together and stuff. That was dope. And then obviously she was great also. I mean, all that dirty shit happened with Edge and Matt and her and all that.
Yeah, but then that's the thing. Some of the things that have happened with Lita, personally outside of the ring, you're man.
I'm not gonna judge her for that. This long.
That's what we're saying.
I'm not saying
it's you separating the art from the artist kind of thing, but it's
and here's the other thing
because Edge was involved in multiple things too.
I'm not. I'm not sticking up for it. He is just as guilty as her, but also. She's not the first fucking person in the world to be doing something like that.
No.
I'm not sticking up for the, that in the morality sense, but it's it's been known to happen in entertainment. That's for goddamn sure.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Well, man.
But that should play no part of as a wrestler.
It's hard to say, man. That's one of the toughest ones so far.
Yeah.
For me, because it's
I think she's one of the best of all time. Trish is my favorite, but I don't know where I would put Lita. But she was definitely breakthrough, and innovative in like I feel like a lot of the crazy stunts and stuff that women like people saw that they would do. She started doing, you know what I mean? And even that stuff with Edge though, whenever she was aligned with Edge, she was such a great heel and like such a compliment to him that whole time too. Like it was fantastic.
Yeah, that 06 run again. Mm-hmm.
Where she was pretty much showing her boobs like every show.
That was part of their gimmick.
It was.
Man, I might have to edge it out to Lita.
Yeah. A
little bit. Slightly. That one's close.
It's hard because she's probably one of the greatest women's wrestlers, but it's like, damn, there's been so many great men's that it's hard to put the Miz that far up there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's hard to compare those worlds.
Again, Lita would probably be another one that if you take into consideration the effect that they had, the impact, and everything on what they did for women in wrestling and everything too, like she would probably make it in my top 10 women's wrestling. So it's hard to not have her win out in this situation, you know? Even though The Miz, at points in his run, was like one of my favorite heels in the business.
Yeah. So that was definitely a tough one, huh?
Yeah.
All right, next up we got The Miz or Bryan Danielson.
They had some great stuff too when they were like rivaling each other.
That's true. I wasn't even necessarily thinking about that.
I think that was that run too, wasn't it? Or was that still when Daniel Bryan was out? Because that was his name at the time when he was not wrestling. Because didn't they face with the Intercontinental title?
Well,
or was that in the first run when he was like Miz was actually like his mentor?
When he came back, the first thing they did was have like a Miz versus Bryan Danielson.
Because
like
they got into
they had that whole feud.
Yeah, that.
Whenever Miz was the Intercontinental Champion,
they got into like that shoot argument on Talking Smack.
Smack. I think like the moment was real, and then I think he just kind of kept going because he was like, because it went on and on. It was just like,
well, they probably had some like actual shit to get out with each other, but then the rivalry itself, they probably didn't actually have any real beef at that point with each other.
No, I don't think so. Because I mean, at the time of Talking Smack happened, it was never even like they didn't think that Danielson was going to be able to wrestle anyway. You know, Bryan Danielson. So I mean, obviously, it was great that he came back because that was rough.
And I don't fully blame, because I don't like remember exactly what it was about that they even got into.
Because he said that he's like, I think you're, you know, I don't know if he called him like a phony, but he's just like, he called him a coward. Because he's like, the way you work, he's like, you know, basically saying he doesn't take any chances. And he's like, I work in a way that allows me to, you know, come out here and wrestle every week. I'm not injured. I don't get put up on the shelf and blah, blah. And it just kind of festered from there.
Yeah.
But like, he was basically saying like, just, you know.
I think that triggered something in The Miz too. Because, I mean, the guy dealt with...
Because people have been downplaying
bullshit
for many, many years.
Yeah, like his first number of years in the business, he was treated like a second-rate guy. You know what I mean? Like, he was like, oh, you're not a real wrestler and stuff. So, like, that just triggered that shit
for sure.
in him.
For sure. and he stayed there and stood the test of time in WWE.
Yeah.
So, wild.
This is like probably gonna make some people hate me.
Oh no!
But personally,
oh no!
From a fandom standpoint, I think Daniel Bryan is far and away a better in-ring performer than The Miz. But I was more over on The Miz. Everybody was over on Daniel Bryan in his Yes Movement era. That was the thing.
I knew he was a great fuck. He was one of the best workers in the entire business, even before he got to WWE.
Yeah.
Because I watched him in ROH.
Yeah, I mean, he'd been at it for fucking almost 20 years, you know? He was one of those guys that they treated like he was, oh, you know, he's a new guy, but he'd been doing it forever.
Yeah. It definitely helped him expand his character.
Now you make me second guess myself too.
It definitely helped him expand his character in WWE though, because like he didn't have as much character in like ROH, but obviously that was more of a, you know what I'm saying, that's the independent scene. It's not like the national scene. So like you definitely gotta characterize yourself and become something larger than life whenever you get on TV and work for the most powerful professional wrestling company in the history of the world.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like but he adapted naturally to it. He was cheered whenever he was a face. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm not saying that to take away from Miz either, but like he adapted to it even while having the wrestling instincts and in-ring work was there. So like, you know, he succeeded at that level, and it was considered the best wrestler in the business, and he succeeded at the highest level. So it's like he kind of achieved the underdog story in.
I mean, Miz did too, though. That was the thing.
Yeah.
Like Miz, that was just he was
just the Diva Search guy,
and he was before that he was on The Real World on MTV, telling those contestants, "Oh, I want to be a WWE wrestler," and they're like, "Yeah, fucking yeah, right."
I'm not saying it to convince you one way or another. I'm just pointing out facts.
And Miz, I mean, he's still there. Brian Danielson, he's still wrestling.
I don't think he's gonna be done.
He'll probably be done decently soon, but
I think he's just gonna wrestle a few more matches, maybe just as selective.
But
he's more self-conscious about his health now because of everything that he went through. At least he had another run after thinking he was done. You know. Yeah.
I think they both had fantastic careers. They both overcame the odds, but their careers are entirely different.
Yeah.
Also. That said, personal fandom, probably taking the Miz a little bit. That's another, barely squeaking it out.
Yeah. So you took the Miz over Kevin Nash, right?
Yeah.
Sabu.
Yeah.
And Bryan Danielson.
I'm so
damn.
Sorry, Bryan Danielson. It's really no hate on Bryan Danielson. Like, this is the thing.
That's going to be your hardest one to live with after this.
I don't. And I was one of those guys, dude, this is going to be another thing that people are going to be like, what the fuck? But at the time, I was not one of those people that automatically was like, fuck this, when Batista won the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, see how this plays out. But the fans immediately were like,
yeah, because everybody knew it was coming too. And it was like kind of being force fed. Like, that's the problem, is like, you can't suddenly be like, oh, Batista's coming back after years, and then, come on. You know what I mean? Like,
he's going to be in the Royal Rumble.
He's fucking winning.
And then he was number 30.
So it gave them like a build-up to be pissed, so they were just pissed.
Yeah. I think he actually wasn't 30. He was like 27 or 28.
Yeah. He might have won at 28 again. I don't know what the fuck it was.
Because I remember 30, they were hoping was going to be Daniel Bryan.
And then it was like Ray.
Yeah, and then
that was
Ray
the
got
one time
booed
when people were so pissed because they built it up like that. So you said The Miz? Okay.
Yep.
Oh, no. Well, this next one might be even harder of a test for you. The Miz or Eugene?
Oh, God. The Miz.
Eugene was a bad son of a bitch.
I mean, yeah. Eugene, he got the end of the stick a lot.
Definitely entertaining.
Eugene, man, he fucked over Kurt Angle. And Eugene, that was a huge angle for him. And he got the hell beat out of him by Triple H. That was another huge angle for him. It was probably the biggest things that happened with Eugene.
Dude, nobody can deny that. What was his name? Nick something, right? The actual guy's name.
Yeah, I don't know.
Nobody can deny that he didn't do a good job playing that.
I mean,
nobody can say that he can't. He didn't.
He got the character and he ran with it. You know? He did what he had to do.
He did. Damn, so you're taking The Miz, huh?
Yeah.
Can you imagine if you're like, yeah, you after taking The Miz over Bryan Danielson?
Yeah, I'm already...
he would never want to meet you.
That's one of those things that I'm like... I'm already like second guessing myself, but I'm still running with it. Cause
all right.
The Miz was pretty high on my list in certain eras.
Yeah. We have 2 more, and we are at an even split. The Miz or Chris Jericho?
Jericho, baby.
Yeah. Oh yeah. All time, he's ahead of, like, I mean, not that we have the same list or anything, obviously, but like all time, he's ahead of a lot of people.
Yeah, dude, Jericho's a legend.
He's
from WCW to now, he's done so much shit and had so many great matches with so many legendary people.
Yeah. Everybody's wrestled everybody that's been like really that relevant in the last 30 plus years.
Yeah. Jericho, he's main evented Manias. He's had great Mania matches. He's became a pretty big player in WCW, WWE, and AEW. There's not a whole lot of guys. Has anybody done that?
No.
That was him. That's it.
Sting had a stint in WWE that fucked him over.
Yeah.
But
his WWE run.
Other than that, he had the other 2 covered.
Yeah. He wrestled in all 3. I guess he was one of the only other people that did that. Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah. Definitely. The Double J stuff from like the mid '90s, he had some pretty good matches.
I kind of honestly, Owen, I think that was Sean, underrated. That run of Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah, all those guys.
The like country music star kind of run.
Yeah.
I thought that was honestly a lot of fun. And honestly, his WCW like slapnut stuff, it was comedic.
Yeah.
But there was some fun shit in there.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't bad. I mean, he had a good TNA run, too, obviously. He made himself champion 8 times. So, that's a story for another day.
Yeah, Jericho, though, for sure.
The Miz, and last but not least, The Miz or Dusty Rhodes. The American
almost through
dream.
Years.
The son of a plumber.
And his son is going to be main event WrestleMania.
He is. I damn near made Cody Rhodes my main guy.
I almost put Dusty in my list. That's kind of funny.
And then ending it with Cody versus Dusty. But I didn't do that.
That would have been fun.
Yeah.
Dusty, man, undeniably did so much for the business.
He did.
And he was one of those guys.
A lot of businesses. WWE, WCW, huge writer, book, he was like
that's what I mean, like
important role
way past his run from in-ring. He was one of those guys that did more almost behind the scenes after than he did in the ring. But even in the ring, Vince wasn't over on him. Vince was kind of like ready to bury him. Oh, let's put this guy on polka dots.
He didn't have the right body.
Goofy. And he still got himself the fuck over.
He
People
did.
loved him.
He did. And then he became like one of the writers, one of the bookers for WCW, and like he was still wrestling everything. But Dusty was also one of the, even with his like, I guess did he have a list, to some degree too, obviously, is what you call it. But he was one of the most charismatic individuals ever in wrestling still.
And he did a lot too, like, Cody Rhodes even made this joke, because it's kind of funny, because now Cody Rhodes is, like, over in the black community. They call him, like, Cody Raheem Rhodes. Like,
yeah.
Have you seen those posts and stuff?
I don't think I've seen that, but
they're like, he's like an honorary brother,
Yeah, that's funny.
They're all into Cody Rhodes. And they said that Dusty was, like, big in the black community, because, like, what was his manager's name? The African American woman? Was it
I forget.
Sapphire.
That sounds right.
She was just, she didn't have any sort of look or anything. She was just literally a woman that was a fan in Georgia that he knew and he brought in. And he's like, oh, you're my manager now. And he like took care of her family and stuff, and they like became a second family to the Rhodes. And so like Mike Tyson said in like his induction speech, Cody talked about this, that he was like talking up Dusty, that Dusty was like a huge influence on him and stuff, and that he's like, in the African American community, like the African American wrestling community, they make the joke that Dusty Rhodes was like, he was the African American's wrestler.
Dude, no, like, honestly, that makes a lot of sense.
Like the 80s and the stuff like.
Dude, he grew up in fucking poverty. He's like, what did he say? He's like wine and dining, eating pork and beans and shit. Like, he made it through what he did to accomplish what he became. Like, he literally did achieve the American dream, like, through his talent. Yeah, he was
the American dream.
And here's what I'll say, is that as good as Dustin and Cody are, Goldust, Stardust, Cody Rhodes, Dustin Runnels, Black Rain, all the people that fucking Dustin has been, including just himself, Dustin Rhodes. Mm-hmm. As charismatic and as good as they are, I still think Dusty was more charismatic than both of them. Yeah. His promos, his connection with the crowd was so organic and so loose and so like just over. It wasn't, and I mean obviously that's a charisma standpoint. Obviously the other two are like have more of the physique and and all that down and stuff as wrestling's like emerged and stuff. But Dusty was so over that like he drew insane crowds in like the 70s and 80s and. His matches with Flair, his matches with Harley, all three of those guys wrestled each other, and that was a huge thing. Big Harley, Rick,
rivalries.
Yeah, Harley, Rick, Dusty, Harley, and Rick, Dusty, huge. I always thought, I'm like, man, if they had done more triple threats at the time, that would have been perfect.
Yeah,
because they had those matches all the time. They all three beat and lost world titles to each other. Mm-hmm. So.
I give all the flowers to Dusty for everything he's done in the business, he was so influential and played such a major role of influence on like so many people, even today still wrestling for so many generations. From a personal standpoint, I probably would ever take The Miz just because I've seen I've seen a lot more work from The Miz, you know what I mean? I know him a lot more as a wrestler. And I've been like a lot more over on The Miz. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I appreciate Dusty immensely, but he was never like one of my go-to classic wrestlers that I was like, oh, that's my guy. You know, whenever I went back and watched some of the 80s stuff and whatnot. So yeah, I'd probably take The Miz by a hair.
Okay. All right, well.
Controversial list tonight.
Hot takes, opinions, and all.
Hey, Mike Mazanin loves me.
We are going to go to a break, and we will be right back, and we will have a good old-fashioned round of the good, the bad, and the shits for you. So stay tuned. We'll see you guys in a moment. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Casting the Spotlight episode number 173. And it is now time for the good, the bad, and the shits.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah. It's time for another old round.
Who wants to lead off? You want to lead off?
You want me to lead off?
Yeah, you can.
Or do you want to?
You can kick one.
All right, well, I'll throw one of mine out there. Obviously, they're more relevant in our lives whenever we're kids, more than now. But, I'm sure like some people might feel one way or another about it if they have kids or if they don't, or if it's kind of a long gone tradition or maybe not. But, when I was a kid, we still had like birthday piñatas, What do you think of those?
Yeah,
like
those
you
were
beat the shit out of it, a shitload of candy would come out.
Yeah.
That was fun, I thought.
Yeah, I liked those as a kid. Because they also, like, if you had a themed birthday party, that was, like, another piece of the themed party always. They always had, like, a themed piñata. It was dope. It was neat. I mean, it was kind of funny, though, because, like, I remember I had a Batman party, and I had, like, a Batman piñata. beat the hell out of Batman. It's like, I like Batman. Why are you beating the hell out of the guy?
No, but why is that? Is that why? Is that because people are like, no, that's a little much for your birthday, like swinging a bat at something? Like, come on.
No, I don't know.
I don't know if that
they
would be why or not.
Disappeared. I think it just.
I mean, I'm not ever going to kids' birthdays usually. So.
Yeah, they're just. I mean, a lot of our friends don't have kids.
No,
that's just.
No, but I almost do. I don't think saying that they're not maybe as commonly done as a far stretch though as they were 20 years ago. You know what I mean? Or even 15.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean, I think when Caitlin and Calvin were like little, they might have had them at a couple parties. But yeah, it's not a commonality now. I mean, it might be maybe if, you're a parent and you take your kid to a lot of parties or something, but yeah, it seemed like they were like kind of a hot commodity for a while. And you don't really see them like, I feel like in Walmart, whenever I was a kid, I remember the party section, you used to see them. You'd see piñatas. I don't really see them anymore.
Why am I beating the shit out of Batman? No, but that's a good like analogy for like how it kind of was. But I mean, I don't know. It's just the fact that this thing is filled with like little prizes or mostly candy, obviously, and you could just if you whack it, smoke it open. And always the birthday person would do it.
I went to a party one time. I don't want to out anybody, but it was somebody in Devin and Crystal's circle of people that had kids. And this is great, honestly. And they had a little kid's birthday party. And they had a piñata. And the kid whacked it, and they whacked the piñata open, and nothing happened. Nothing came out. And we were like, what happened? And they thought that it came with candy. They didn't realize you had to fill the piñata with your own candy, bro.
Oh no. You were there for that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So the kids, I think I was like younger. I wasn't like young, but I was probably like 14, 15, 16, around that age. And yeah. The kids were just, I mean, luckily they weren't too old, so it wasn't like a huge deal, but yeah, I remember that being like a thing that happened.
That is kind of funny. Damn, I wonder what they did, because the kid was like really looking forward to smacking the candy out of it.
It's like, well, you still got to beat it open. That was part of the fun.
There's no reward.
No, let's go have some cake and ice cream.
Yeah. Sounds about right.
I mean...
But yeah, I thought of that randomly, and I was like, I don't think we'd ever discuss those, but like, there could have been a period where I didn't think about them for 10 years, so I don't know. But it's like, it was like always a tradition in a lot of, at least for a number of years. You get up to a point where like you're not going to be doing that anymore. But
yeah. Do you remember the video game Viva Piñata? You like played as a piñata and you made a little village.
Really?
I had it on like the Xbox 360. I think.
I don't think so.
It was kind of fun. It's just like, yeah, man. Piñatas felt more relevant in my childhood.
They did. No, for sure. Some of these people probably are like, what the fuck is that?
Some people probably are like, man, piñatas are relevant as ever.
Yeah, well,
yeah, who knows?
I'd like to meet them. They got the tradition going the right way, yeah.
They got a piñata store is what's going on.
Yeah.
We're trying to stay afloat.
What do you got?
Well, we could steer it. You know what? Let's stay on. We're kind of approaching summer. Getting close. I mean, we're kind of in spring. We're getting to May's around the corner. Things will be warming up. Bugs will be coming out. Things will be happening. It's already kind of happening. So what do you think of bug spray? You feel like bug spray is... Do you wear it a lot when you go out?
No, I don't wear it a lot.
Do you feel like you should wear it?
It doesn't mean that I shouldn't. I just don't buy it. Not really, at least.
Yeah, I mean,
I feel like it works.
You're spraying because that DEET shit, like you're spraying poison on yourself. That's why you gotta be careful. You don't want to like spray a bunch by your mouth.
Don't
and shit.
put it anywhere that's a hole.
Yeah, just be.
Don't do that.
I mean, it's gonna
or like your eye socket.
Yeah,
obviously, but
it'll fog up into your face. It's gonna happen, but it definitely helps. But I honestly, dude,
it most certainly works.
I don't know.
I mean,
that's the thing. Sometimes I'm gonna say
the good shit.
It don't matter. Sometimes you don't wear bug spray, and I feel like bugs don't fuck with you as much. If you put that shit on, they're around you.
If you have any sort of like, but if you have cologne on or you got a shower or
that's definitely true.
Anything like that, you're gonna have bugs. Like even if you ate food and stuff like that, you're gonna have more of them around you. They can just smell it. They want to feed on
like
you.
That stuff.
Yeah.
They come for it. A lot of them have like really good sense of smells.
You don't think it works?
No, I think that it does, but I did have that theory for a while that I'm like, I swear when I put bug spray on, they fuck with me more sometimes.
Yeah.
It's almost like the citronella candle where the bugs come to it but they die. I mean, that might not be a good analogy. That's probably a bad one actually. But it feels like that. Where it's bad for them, but they're like, what is this? This is a weird smell. Because it's out of the ordinary.
Yeah. Like,
I don't think that I don't actually think that. I do think that it helps you not get bit as much.
Well, yeah, and that's really the main reason why you wear it. Like, you don't want them, like, on you,
Yeah.
Like, they might be kind of attracted to but I think, like, there's just something in it. Like, they get too up close, it's just, they can't stand it, Same as, like, some of the sprays in the corner and shit like that. They would be so annoying, like on the ball. We were talking about the ball, or I made a reference to the ball field earlier, and they would be so annoying always there, like down at Hillsborough Little League,
Yeah.
And like that was the predominant time, like when I was, around that kind of atmosphere, you're gonna wear it, but like normally I don't have a reason to buy it enough to like that I'm gonna be outside like that long in terms of not like, I mean I might go outside more in the summer and stuff like that, but.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't always have to wear it, but sometimes it catches me off guard. It's like I'll wear like cologne or shower or whatever, and then go there like it's not gonna be a problem, and then all of a sudden I'll have some of these bugs on me, and I'm like, fuck. What was I thinking?
Yeah. That definitely happens.
Yeah. You don't always even think it through, but it's gonna happen if you wear that scenty shit.
I know I wore it a lot more as a kid because. Yeah, like ball fields and stuff, and like going to my family's property when we used to go there a lot more in the summer and stuff. It was like right by the woods, So like you would walk literally right off the property line into the woods. As soon as you hit the trail, it was just like gnats in your face.
I fucking hate gnats. They fly right into your eye all the time.
Yeah. They're attracted to that.
What reason
smuggy, is there? Sweaty shit, dude.
What reason is there for that
moisture?
For that to exist? What business does a gnat have on this planet?
It wants to fly into your eyes.
It does nothing for anybody.
No, it really doesn't.
They suicide dive into your eyeball sockets.
In your mouth and anywhere that has some moisture.
It's disgusting.
If you're sweating, they're sticking to your skin. That's the worst, dude. Literally, there was times where, like, I would just, for the fun of it, close my eyes, walk into the trail a little bit, and just clap in front of me a bunch. and then walk back out. This is disgusting thinking about it now. Because I'd wash my hands right after. I'm not a disgusting fuck. I was a kid too. Okay. But I'd walk back out of the woods and there was just dead gnats all over my hands, dude. That's how bad it was.
Oh man.
Going
that's nasty.
Deep into the woods. In the dead of summer.
Yeah.
There was just a few summers though, and it was super humid. Because that's the thing too. That's what makes them worse. Is it's humid outside, and it's the dead of summer, so you're already kind of miserable out there. So you're sweating your ass off. You're fuck, and then these things want to fuck with you and try to get in your mouth and your eyes. You're get the fuck out of here, man. I don't got time for this shit right now.
No. I would say bug spray. Probably fair.
Yeah.
I mean
they stay in business. They serve their purpose.
Somebody's gonna that has a bug spray, but I don't know. I don't usually buy it. I don't really have a need to.
Don't.
Most of the time, somebody's around and they're like, "Hey, what's the bug spray?" While they're putting it on, we've all been in that situation. Yeah, they're like, "Hey,
you want to put on some bug spray?"
Yeah, they give you a can that's half. It's okay, well, it's a little bit wet, but all right. And
greasy ass metal can.
But you're sure, I'll use it. Should I throw in my next one? I'm sure I was gonna say if we get to a wrestling one, then that'll probably dominate a lot of the conversation before we wrap it up here anyway.
Yeah.
But my next one, I was just thinking about this earlier, kind of randomly, and I don't think that we've ever really talked about it on here. But I get why it's sort of a necessity in ways, because you're oh, this will cover somebody's stuff in case they die or this or that, or it'll be, it's good for this reason. A lot of people think it's horseshit. What do you think of life insurance? There's some people that are why would I fund it? But then the argument is, well, if in case of their death or whatever, they have a policy that covers their funeral expenses, and some other things. I guess you can take ones out that cover different things, but some people view it in at least maybe even half the population, maybe not quite that. I'm not sure what the number is, but there's a lot of people view it as nonsense, to funnel money into life insurance.
I just recently, within the past, I'd say 2 to 3 months, had a person hit me up, call me.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been having a lot of people call me from, different healthcare things recently, because I've been, out of work with an injury and stuff, and I've been going to PT and all these different things, so I've been talking to doctors and
mm-hmm.
insurance people, and all these different people have been calling me. So the number called the first time and I didn't answer, and then it called right back a second time, within a minute or two, and I'm who the fuck is this? So I answered it, and they just started going into something. They're right now it looks like you'd be eligible for 50, 100,000, blah, blah, blah. And I'm what? Are you talking, you're gonna, give me a buyout of 50? What are you talking about? And there was, and then it ended up being a dude with life insurance.
$150,000 life insurance policy or something like that, maybe?
Yeah, and he's oh, you'd only have to pay, at your age, you'd only pay, $20 a month, and it'd probably be, it's best, anything can happen. And he started telling me these horror stories. All those, this girl, she died, she got in a car accident at 19, and blah blah blah, and her family was just left with all these funeral expenses, and it's just
see, from my point of view is,
bro, you tricked me for one. Why the fuck did you call me right back, making me think that it was something important?
Yeah.
You did that on purpose.
So one of the things I will say, and I've heard of people, or even maybe known people, like I guess you would too, that have been in that business for like a little bit. And it's like my view of what some of the people that like think it's complete fucking scam is I think I think I see where they're coming from, in the sense that you're funneling money into your own death so that it pays for it after that. And it's almost like you're trying to fucking rip me off just to funnel money into something like I don't fucking need. And then like a lot of people, like some people will be like, oh no, we got a life insurance policy, or if they die, their significant other, whoever gets something, from it. But like, if it's through work, or there's always other things you can get. But some people think the policy itself is unneeded to like be, But there, I don't know. It depends, I guess, what your
He's just calling me, hey,
financial state is.
it's never too early to start planning for the future.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm definitely not doing that.
My own death.
Yeah. All right.
Oh boy.
Fucking no, you know who it was? And I haven't actually heard or seen him in a while, but like Brendan Jones from high school.
Yeah.
Like he used to sell life insurance, and I remember he was like trying to promote his stuff on social media. Like this is years ago. I don't think. Hopefully he's doing right out there or whatever, because I don't think he's doing that anymore or whatever. But I remember some people commenting on his thing being like, this is a fucking scam and shit. Just like, that's the way some people feel about it. Like, so that's like not an uncommon opinion too, but I don't know what people decided to have, what they decide's the right move within their home or their, but it's like, I can also see the point of view why it's just like why I would voluntarily pay this into, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
In some instances, there are policies to where like, oh, if you die at work, or if this happens, your significant other or your kids or somebody gets compensation for that, you know what I mean? Because then you're not there to make money and pay the bill, do all the stuff. So like you get something, but sometimes there's like, if that happens, the work like would cover it regardless, I feel like, but I was gonna say your life insurance would be like something else. So like, I don't know. I don't understand all the fucking technicalities to it, but I'm like, I could kind of understand why some people would say it like sounds like some more shit.
I think at our age, it's basically meaningless to start investing into something like that.
Maybe it makes more sense if you're in good health and you're 50 or 40, whatever.
I think once you get to a later age, and if you're in a good spot financially and you're settled in and things are starting to get more paid off, then it might not be about, and you have people in your life that are younger than you and you care about and you love and you want to leave something, it might not be bad to start doing something then, but like, dude, right now, my age, with what I got and like what's going on in my life, dude, I don't got kids. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm not even 30.
You're not married,
why
so nothing
would I
go to your significant other anyway.
Oh, just so my family doesn't front my funeral bill, basically.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I'm not doing that.
I'll take care of my death. But like, well, that's the thing too, is if somebody's kids get this, get the, everything that they have or whatever, it's like you're probably, if it's signed on, automatically this goes to them, and it's like an easy situation, or like there's a will like we talked about before, I think, then like it's not like a big issue anyway. And then if that person had plenty to leave you, like that's probably gonna be enough to cover their stuff anyway, you know what I mean? But it depends on, I don't know, but I can see both arguments to some extent,
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that it's bad that it exists.
But people put it on you like you fucking need it.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. When he called me, it was like, trying to like make it seem like it was something that I really
I'm not saying you're going to be fucked if you don't get it, but
something I really need to be thinking about.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, thanks for thinking about me. But
I'm sure he was
maybe
thinking about you whenever he cold called you out of fucking nowhere. Oh shit.
Maybe hit me up, in a couple decades.
Yeah.
2 decades.
So what do you think?
Slightly overrated.
Yeah.
I think, like I said, at a certain point, if you're at a point in life where you are financially in a good spot, you have kids or you're married or you have people younger than you that you want to make things easier for, you want to leave some stuff to, it's better then, but for a lot of people, it's a little meaningless,
Yeah.
I mean, even if you're married,
The age thing makes sense though too.
it's just each other then. Sign over your bank account before you die. Or leave it in a joint account in case you die. Once you get old.
I'm sure there's ways to set all that stuff up in the case of you know what I mean.
So it makes sense. It's like, okay, we're gonna take it now.
Yeah, or they try to hold on. Well, we don't know for 6 months to a year. It's like, what the fuck?
You guys, I know you were married for 35 years, but
there's a little
I don't know if you're worthy of taking his money.
There's gonna be a waiver period. If you make it through that, your record's clean. It's like we lived in the same house. Oh shit. Well, a little overrated, huh?
Probably slightly.
Well, what do you guys
just on a grand scale? I don't think life insurance as a whole is probably an overrated concept, but it's overrated for a lot of people to have it.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Who truly needs it should have it, but it doesn't have to be pushed down the throat of the everyday fucking citizen.
Yeah.
That's the thing. If you're in a position that, you're probably going to realize that you need it if you're in that situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's like everybody else, if they don't,
And it's just... as rough as it is to say, just on a human level, it's like a bummer. You know what I mean? It's like everybody has that that bummed feeling about their own death anyway. So you're just like, oh man, I'm gonna die. And then to freaking have to toss money into a thing every month that basically is a fund that is for sure telling you, yes, you are right, you are gonna die. It's just a bummer, man.
No, it's like, I'm not gonna put all my money while I'm alive into this shit.
Yeah. Alright, are we ready for the next one?
Oh yeah.
We're into some wrestling here. Since we got a lot of multi-man matches here in this WrestleMania coming up. What do you think did we say, I don't think we brought this one up specifically as a topic, but just the triple threat match concept as a whole. Just 3 wrestlers. Do you feel like that works better? Or do you feel like, I don't know, I've always kind of felt like, depending on who works it, a triple threat's really cool.
Mm.
But sometimes I feel like a singles and a fatal 4-way are more fluid as well.
Well, most of the time, the fundamental difference, obviously, in the fatal 4-way and triple threat is one person's left down doesn't per se have a dancing partner in a triple threat, whereas in a fatal 4-way there's 4.
They 3 people moves
but
and stuff.
What I will say is most of the time, even in a fatal 4-way, the spotlight is still on 2 guys in the middle of the ring more than it is 3 or 4. You know what I mean? A couple guys get taken out of the equation, or they're fighting on the outside, at least till the match breaks down more, kind of thing. I've always always been a fan of multi-person matches. I'm not saying like you have to even load the card up with them or anything like that, even though that's probably what we're going to get at Mania to some extent. Way more than in most
still
recent
a lot of
years.
Singles matches, but there's a lot of multi.
I'm not against it either because I'm like, damn. I'm like, I wouldn't have suggested, oh, this be the year we'll have 7 on the card.
Yeah.
But like, I would rather, every year we have at least a few, you know? A few different, tag team.
Gets more people on the card too.
A tag team. Maybe, you don't leave them out of the world title picture one year, do like mid card or like tag team matches with multiple challengers and stuff. And then one year do, world title with another guy and, you know what I mean? Yeah. Mix it up. My whole thing is mix it up. Like, you know what I mean? Make it kind of organized chaos to where there's, this whole conflict pulled this guy or girl into the equation, so now they have a reason to be in this feud. If it has a reason and a justification, especially like when a title's on the line, like I understand why they would do it. The only point I would say it's, in my opinion, that would ever be overrated is if, a triple threat or a fatal 4-way or whatever would be, is if they did it like way too much. But I really always feel like they've had a healthy amount of still balancing like regular singles and regular tag team matches and then sprinkling the other types of matches in on like a not so commonly basis, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if I had felt that they had been overbooked, I would maybe be like, because like I think there should be a reason to, or like just enough people involved. Sometimes they have multi men and women in the mid-card title matches because there are so many people that might be quote-unquote contenders, so it's just like, let's just throw them all in there and see, who survives. It's like the workhorse title, So,
yeah. It's neat that the women have that mid-card titles now, too, so they can kind of, since the women's division's a lot bigger now, they can kind of do more. Because it kind of felt like some of the women were misused for a number of years, so... You do have
to go about a triple threat differently than a fatal 4-way though in a lot of ways, because you have to make sure you figure out a way for it to flow and you have all 3 competitors like in there, going back and forth in like a way, and this is the big thing, which would be why somebody like Bret Hart would be like, it's, I mean, maybe he wouldn't not like calling like a triple threat or whatever, but he was kind of not in the era where they had all those types of matches yet, you know what I mean? They had some, but he didn't. He wasn't in like a whole lot of those, multi-person matches like that, triple threats or fatal 4-ways.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say, from a psychological standpoint, that would be what the nightmare putting the match together would be. You know what I mean? To what makes sense and when and if the third person is involved and in what way too. You know what I mean? Because there's only 3 people, so at all times it's kind of like you can get all 3 involved in some of the spots for sure, but it's hard to get everybody involved the whole time.
Gotta give
in it for
somebody
it to make
a breather.
Sense. Yeah,
throughout it.
Yeah, and I feel like they commonly figure out a way to interweave everybody having one throughout the match.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I like them. So it's basically triple threat.
Yeah, the triple threat match.
Yeah. People in the wrestling business will tell you that they're a hard match to work.
I would say that, but that's what we kind of would be.
That's the track we're kind of on with this conversation anyway.
I do think that there has been a number of pretty awesome ones. Like
there has, for sure.
It's a fun match, but yeah, I could see it kind of being a tough one because it is an odd number of people too. So, and it's the hardest odd number of people because if there's 5, that's just a melee. You know what I mean? Like
it's a lot of
3. That's 2 people working and then 1 person that's doing something. So it's like, what? You got to figure that out.
You do, and 3 is not enough to where there's going to be too much chaos. Like people are going to know what everybody's doing in the ring still whenever there's 3 people, and you got to keep that going the whole time the match goes on. So it's like that, but the way Seth, Punk, and Roman work, like I know that is going to be fine. You know what I mean? Like you know, I know that's like they're gonna figure out a way for it to, you know, and like all three of the guys are like at least in their like late 30s. Like they've all been in the business a long time. They've all been, you know what I mean? They're all pretty experienced at this point. So like they'll be able to handle the triple threat match. I mean, this could be one of the best we've seen, you know. In a Mania is a multi-person match in general. So
yeah, there's a lot of man and women matches this year. It's dope.
It is. It's different. We never get this many. There's usually like maybe one or two, it seems like. At the 2000 WrestleMania, there was a bunch.
Yeah. Yeah, that was like a big multi-person
That's
Mania.
The other one I've been thinking of whenever I see how many are on this card. I'm like, because that had a ton of them that were multi-person. Yeah. And like a lot more than even 4 or, you know, 3 in certain ones. They had that like 12-man hardcore title battle, but it was like you could pin on the inside the ring and on the outside of the ring. It was like a ton of different people in it. That had a dope triple threat though in it. Benoit, Jericho, and Kurt Angle. It was it was like 2 falls. The first fall was for the IC title. It was a triple threat, you know, with all 3 of those guys, and the second one is for the European title. And Benoit won the IC title. Kurt went in with both. Benoit won the IC title, and Jericho won the European title. So it was awesome. And that just sounded like an amazing triple threat to have, like at that time.
Yeah.
So that was on the 2000 card. And then that, you know, fatal 4-way main event.
That's a pretty cool match, though. Concept. Yeah, the fatal 4-way main event. That was a different kind of main event.
Yeah, Rock should have won. There's no reason he shouldn't have. No reason he shouldn't have.
That was a weird Mania too, because that was during that era where guys were like coming out different times in the show, like, or they'd be like cutting promos and doing things like, and then not wrestling, and then coming back for their match later, or like cutting a promo right before the match. Like, it just felt like Rock did that a lot in that era, but it felt like there was an era where they would do like treat pay-per-views kind of like it was like a fucking episode of the show or something, where it's like a guy would come out and cut a promo at the beginning of the pay-per-view, and it's like, he's gonna be in the main event. What the fuck is he doing out here?
I think you meant like on like a Raw or SmackDown, just cutting a promo and then coming out for your match. I'm like, people used to do all the time. It's like their match is next and you'd hype it up, like The Rock would be back there talking about whooping candy asses, and then his music would hit at the end of the promo and he would like walk out. That was pretty dope.
Yeah.
Like interviewing and doing your shit.
Literally all the time. Yeah. That era especially.
Yeah. That was awesome. I always honestly loved it where somebody would just get done talking like an enormous amount of shit and then come out to the ring. Like no matter who it was always funny because you're like, you just get done back here doing your thing and you're like, all right.
LA Knight just did that shit on SmackDown.
Yeah.
Like, he makes sense to be doing that, like, in the modern day.
He does.
He's kind of that guy, just that loud mouth dude.
He's got fat too. His match is set. Is that not going to be added to? Or is that just going to stay a singles, you think?
That'll probably be a singles.
So you said you think Braun and Solo are going to be off the card?
That potentially could be a fatal 4-way.
I mean, I could see Braun being left off the card.
Yeah, because Braun got beat by Fatu for the number 1 contender spot.
Solo didn't feel like he's been much at all since fucking Roman ruined him.
Solo's in Fatu's corner. Like, he's following Jacob now. So
Solo!
I think it will be just Fatu and LA Knight.
Sounds like a more clean, interesting match.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, they're going to have some singles matches too.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I like it. Honestly, it's going to be... What'll make me happy is if they add a few tag team things to it. And then it'll be like, all right, at least there's some stuff to break it up. But it should be fun.
I mean, 3 of the world titles are singles. Then you got Logan Paul and AJ Styles, Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre.
Yeah, that's 5. Jade and Naomi. So that's right there. That's probably almost half the card is still going to be at least singles.
Yeah.
Because even if there's 7.
U.S. title match.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, we're at a good, healthy level. Just add a few tag team matches to it.
Which will happen. The women's tag match is going to be a Mania. Women's tag titles.
We'll have some triple threats.
And I think
we'll have
both.
A fatal 4-way. I love it.
I think it's going to be the New Day versus the War Raiders for the Raw Tag Team title. No, did that happen tonight? That might have been tonight.
The New Day won the belts last week. No, they didn't win. They won a match, but they didn't win the titles.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was like,
did they? No, I don't think so. But I was shocked. I was shocked that they won the match the other night that they won.
Yeah, I think that they were supposed to have a match tonight, actually. But I think that it's going to be like some kind of tag team gauntlet for the SmackDown tag belts. I feel like
Mania?
There's so many SmackDown tag teams going for those belts right now.
Yeah.
That it feels like they're gonna have to do something with them. The Street
Get
Profits
them on the
are
card.
champs.
You guys broke this shit up into 2 nights. You better put everybody on the card. Like put all these big matches on there. There's no excuse.
They don't even have enough Raw tag teams to do that.
There's no excuse now. You got to get everybody on the card. You broke it up into 2 nights. Yeah. That's what you gave up whenever you did that. You gave up any excuses. You have to get it all on there now.
Kind of do. You got 2 nights to do the shit.
Mm-hmm. But I am looking forward to it. It's gonna be fucking sick. I am too. And even the next podcast is gonna be.
Oh, it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Incredible.
What did you say for triple threats? It's a tough one.
See, like, some people don't like him that much, but I don't know if that opinion is strong enough to really hold any weight. It certainly isn't strong enough to get any promoters to stop doing them, you know, including the ones at the top and stuff. There's always going to be a place for, but, you know, really, it was a Vince creation to make all those multi-person matches the way he did, and, like, you know, it definitely generated, like, a new layer to peel back on, like, what pro wrestling could be, because that changed the dynamic in the ring so much, you know? So many different companies and promotions did so many more types of matches because he made the choice to, like, change that in his company, you know, because traditionally most everything was always, you know, they even did 2 out of 3 falls for decades, not like 3 stages of hell, but like, 60 minutes, you know, best 2 out of 3 kind of thing, or whatever. They did stuff like that, but it was traditionally always tag team matches and singles matches, you know, men and women and stuff still, but just traditionally that way, you know? So there wasn't all the new stuff, but I'm glad it came, because I think it was I think either way we're going to get there eventually to where we're like, yeah, you know, it'd be fun. What if we had 3 or 4 people in this motherfucker, just shit going, you know what I mean? Like, somebody eventually probably would have done it, but he did it, and he did it on a large scale, and then everybody was, like, flocked to it, because that was the new way to, you know, that was, like, a new layer that they peeled back on what pro wrestling could be. So it was most certainly a good idea, and, you know, he had a bunch of those.
Yeah.
So
he innovated a lot.
I'm glad it's shaping up. I think this past week has been way stronger.
The card itself looks pretty damn strong. That's the thing. Some of the shit feels kind of tossed together, and a lot of the cards coming together, honestly, last minute. Mm-hmm. We've seen the way it's been building for a while, but a lot of this hasn't been announced till the last minute. It's kind of been a weird Mania build.
It has.
But I'm actually looking forward to the event itself.
It's picking up steam, though, now, which it should be. Mm-hmm. I kind of wished we had seen The Rock by now.
Yeah, I guess he's not going to actually show up till Mania, which is kind of a bummer.
Is Cena not scheduled either until then?
I don't think so.
Yeah, so Cody's going to have to carry it.
We shall see how it goes.
Yeah, maybe that's it, too. Some of the scheduling and some of the way some of that's been going on.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe they'll surprise us. Maybe Cena should come on the SmackDown before Mania.
I'm sure the card...
He probably will, because that's going to be in Vegas.
I'm sure the card will, be delivered big time in a lot of ways. Like, even if the build has been, like, a little bit, maybe not always a step on, like, where you think it should be. But, I mean, if the match is, if we get the payoff that we get, we're going to see how this crowd reacts. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Tiffany and, Charlotte. It'll be interesting to see how this main event plays out, or even the triple threat. The other triple threat with the women.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a lot of stuff going on. Like, it does feel like a lot of things are finally hitting ahead going into this Mania, though. They are actually pretty interesting, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like last year,
a lot of big names on the card.
Well, even like AJ and Logan won't have necessarily the best build, but I guarantee it's gonna be a great match. Oh yeah.
And I mean, they had an okay, like they still had some cool, funny moments and some,
Some of the Logan Paul one-off builds I've noticed though are kind of like. Some of them have the same. Some of them have the exact same motivation for the other guy.
Like
for the other.
You
got famous on fucking YouTube.
Yeah.
I've been in this my whole life. That's like that's always the build.
It's basically you don't belong here, Sonny.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's pretty much always that. So, but. The match will be great, I'm sure. AJ Styles isn't gonna fucking give you a stinker,
Yeah, and Logan you can deliver in the ring, man.
He can.
So
we'll be talking about it more the next week.
For sure.
Oh man.
Shall be
it's gonna be a lot
of
good
time.
So back to our first wrestling cast since fucking August. I guess when we did
do the SummerSlam.
Yeah.
SummerSlam and the Mania cast, they're always a lot of fun.
They are. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening in. We will be seeing you on the WrestleMania cast next week, and take care of yourselves. Have a great week.